Greetings and salutations, everybody. I think we're back or something for at least a week.
Hooray!
Hooray! Yeah, it's a
Hooray.
D&D Abeyance, which means it's Nick's game, and he can take it over from here.
Yes. No pressure.
None
Great.
whatsoever, Nick. It's all you.
All right. So we are in, depending on how you count it, episode 7, 8 of the campaign. As our team of investigators enjoyed a bit of downtime in our last session when you attended the dinner party held by Gideon's friend / co-worker, Ted. I've forgotten how to pronounce his name. Therese. There it is. Things, you guys met some people, got along with most of them. Davy Jones showed up and tried to crash the party, and Tan basically publicly humiliated him, and he left, being very angry. In the midst of all of this, Gideon had a bit of a breakthrough while engaged in conversation with Odd, as a potential lead that you guys can follow with the list of SNRs that Gideon and Dentalion have been trying to work on of late.
Yeah.
So we're going to pick up a bit after that.
Sure.
As I warned you guys ahead of time, we're not just going to go like, oh, immediately after the party or like the next day. We're going to go skip forward just a little bit.
Okay.
So a few days, maybe a week, have passed at
Sure.
around the time that we're actually going to be picking up. But in the meantime, I don't want it to make it like, I'm overriding you guys and preventing you from following any leads or anything like that. So I also asked if any of you want to do anything in that time frame. And I do have a couple of notes back on this.
Yeah, I would have said something, but basically it's nothing more than what I said I was doing at the end of the last session. So
Right, pre-established.
yes.
Yeah, I never got back to you because I'm lazy.
Okay.
I don't even remember where we left off last time, so I don't know what the hell I'm going to do next.
Eric just casually motions to himself because, I didn't get back to you because,
It's me.
Yeah. So I just assumed that anytime that Tan is not on mission, there was stuff happening back at
Right.
The Fulcrum. Yes.
the Fulcrum. Yeah, back over at the Fulcrum. I joke lightly about it, but I do like to imagine there are things like, comedy nights, quote unquote nights. It's just someone pulls like a blanket over the center area, so it gets a little bit darker, so that it's night. Oh gosh, that's actually a great idea. Like the day-night cycle in the courtyard is represented by just someone putting the dome up.
Yeah, I imagine that as I think we have established over the course of the campaign so far, if anyone in the party has a social life, it is Tan and ours.
Right.
So I'm sure some of you guys get invites to hang out at some of these events. Tan, you also attend the somewhat irregularly scheduled Fulcrum community meeting where they discuss how things are going. When occasionally the community leaders of an apartment complex will have a session kind of thing, but things rarely get done because everyone there is a bunch of RC folks who are very whimsical and such. So if they get about 2 things done after reciting the minutes, and then they descend into just what do we all think of this, and then they just it just becomes a creative session instead. There's one person who's very frustrated by this, who hangs out in the corner, has giant reams of notes about how things need to be run and how these things are under budget and those things are under budget and stuff. They always get overridden every time.
Immediately,
both of these people.
Immediately after the word day gets mentioned, someone tries to do word association games. Someone else, then one of the troop leader tries to lead everyone in a rousing game of zip zap zop, and then you can't escape from it.
I see. We found the true villain of the game, the person trying to organize things.
No, you don't understand. Things will be much more fun and creative if we stop being creative for a few moments. Boo! Boo!
like food items get thrown that just dissolve into nothingness when they hit because they don't want to make a mess, but they do want to express their dissent. I like how ineffectual but highly effective the fulcrum is. You know,
Hey, it works for where it is and what it is.
Oh, sure.
So.
I do have to imagine that one of the night activities is like the equivalent of food trucking. Like for all of a sudden, there's like the equivalent of food trucks in the courtyard
absolutely.
lined up. Yeah. Basically, you take every single like Day of the Dead food related festival, and they get celebrated on some rotation. It's you know.
Yeah, and unlike the food trucks that come to a lot of apartment complexes, this one's actually like worth going to. So
Yeah, indeed.
We also had a bit of business, Ash, that you wanted to run as we were getting into this.
Yeah, Ash wants.
Ash wants.
Ash wants that shoe.
Ash is going to tell you how it is.
just slams a book on the
Ow.
table. I wrote a couple of notes for my next character here, actually.
I feel weirdly intimidated right now.
But yes, my plan was to have Jerome do a little research on the dig site in Poland, like to figure out like why it was chosen, how long it's been up, because like there was this important like I guess Neolithic kind of like cave painting kind of thing, and that was apparently under guard or something. So why was this site chosen?
These are interesting questions. You will need to, of course, roll an investigation check for me, and I realize now that I'm not actually in the roll 20, so I'll jump into that.
All right.
But while you're rolling that, can you also tell me like how do you want to like kind of go about this? Do you want to because keep in mind, of course, that like the internet doesn't exist in the place where you are. Do you want to like just kind of go through the kind of standard information network that you have in your line of work, where people try and like bring information from the living world to you?
I think that might be in order, and another way to look at it too might be to ask some more official sources. Like, okay, if this place was under guard, like that's kind of unusual for like a site in the world of the living. Like, you don't just have somebody haunt a place 24/7 in the real world, the living world.
Gotcha. Okay.
So like that would be a really unusual kind of like situation.
So, for example, like, does anyone in your network know of why there are beings that are haunting the caves, etc.?
Yeah. It's only 10.
Okay. So you begin going into this line of questioning, and you're also trying to go through like the official sources of like, okay, what's this dig site kind of about? You get like some kind of basic information on that front pretty readily. Like it's kind of the equivalent of if someone Googles the dig site and they read the blurb that appears at the top of the page before going into any of the in-depth links. You get that stuff back right away. But in the time frame that you're working with, you don't manage to find out any more on that front. And so far, you haven't heard anything about the beings that are haunting the place. However, about midway through the week, you get a visitor. As Professor Bergman shows up at your door.
Ooh, that's unexpected. I thought you would think Professor Bergman would be on his way out already.
Professor Bergman, after learning about the stuff that was going on, decided that he might still have some unfinished business and wanted to make himself available. I did mention this in passing, but it's been a month since we last played, and I can't even remember if I brought it up in that session or not. So I don't blame you for not remembering that. Trust me, I mentioned it once. So, and it was basically to leave myself an out in cases like this where he would be helpful to you guys. So yeah, the professor shows up at your door, and you can kind of tell from looking at him that he's clearly, settled into the being dead thing. Since you last got to see him, he's not, immediately, shocked and still weirded out by everything that he sees. Probably not as readily welcoming of everything as, Reiko is, where like anything crazy that happens, she just is like enthusiastically rolling with it. But he at least no longer looks at you. Yeah, he at least no longer looks at you, an anthropomorphic owl with and he doesn't get weirded out anymore. He recognizes you as a friend, basically.
That's good. I was worried he would have run into one of Jerome's neighbors who are a little bit weirder, as I mentioned in that document.
Yeah. Well, he made it to you at least, so as he meets you at the door, he says, "Oh, if I'm sorry for the if I'm intruding, but I had something I wanted to discuss with you, if that is all right."
Oh no, not at all. Come in, please come in. And he leads him into the Jerome's Soviet minimalist apartment. That's just kind of like one big room with a little. It's not one big room. It's got a bathroom and a kitchen like off to the side, but it has one big main room. Then like in one corner there's like a little curtained off area where the bed would be.
Gotcha. Professor Bergman does that kind of thing that people do when they go into a new place. Kind of like just looks around, kind of idly. But he says, "I hope that you have been keeping well. I'm still not sure exactly how this works, so I guess a lot of the wishes of good health and everything are no longer really applicable. But how are you? Does that work? Yes, that must work, right?"
Jerome kind of like laughs. He's kind of like laughs and like hoots at the same time. It's like a weird. He laughs like you would imagine an owl would laugh. Yes.
Gotcha.
He kind of leads over to his desk that is in the main room. Like it's just a nice wooden desk with a seat in front, a seat in the back, and he pours a little bit of what passes for tea around here.
Mm.
The passes this Dr. Bergman. It's like, oh, don't worry, everything's much worse than death here.
Ah, that is not reassuring, but okay. He accepts your offer of tea, and as you guys get a little bit settled in, he says, "I was made aware because I am still very much in contact with Maurice while I am staying in this realm. And he happened to mention that you have been making inquiries about the dig site that my niece was working at, that your friend Reiko came from. And I cannot tell you everything about it, but I will tell you that I had been making plans to attend that dig, so I did do some initial research into it that I would be happy to share with you."
That would be actually quite helpful. There's some irregularities about the dig sites.
You don't say.
Yes. There there's some things there, some things there that had you been alive, you would have been very interested to find, but we really, really wouldn't have wanted you to find.
I see.
Let's leave it at that. Less said about the actual contents of what is at the site is important, but I have reason to believe that that site might have been chosen for particular reasons. So, so tell me,
Chosen?
yes,
Well, chosen by the university?
possibly, or by somebody who works through the university, or maybe a wealthy donor of the university.
Oh, are you saying that there is some kind of ulterior motive going on about this that has to do with the location?
I'm
Excuse me.
covering all of the angles. It could simply be a happenstance that these things happened in the same location, but considering with the dig site and what happened to Puerto Rico and the fact that we were there at the same time, it seems it seems some further investigation is warranted.
Yes, I can understand your suspicions. One of these things happening would be a mere happenstance, but two coinciding is suspicious, and beyond that, it does grow to be a more complicated picture. Well, I cannot speak to why this site was chosen, unfortunately. This was not a project that I was originally going to be a part of. I was going to essentially be something of a guest on the trip. So I would, but I was not privy to any information that went into selecting this place, or if there were any particular topics of interest beyond the ones that were publicly stated in the Academy's information on the site. However, I did do my research. Oh, I do wonder, would the geological history of the mountains be of use to you? I know lots about that.
It could be. It seems a little odd that well, without going into too many details, there was a perfectly preserved cave painting in one of the chambers there. And I do know that that is something that only happens in very specific conditions.
Well, it depends on the surface on which it was drawn, the formation of the cave in terms of how it's protected from outside elements, the presence of moisture or lack of thereof within the cave. There are many factors that go into it, but you are not wrong in your assessment of that. The two of you, proceed to talk about this at length as he tries to be as thorough as possible in sharing what information he has to offer with you, which is a lot. But in terms of what you're asking about, there's not a whole lot that he can offer, at least that he can think of. Professor Bergman, when he was planning to be on the trip, was mostly doing it so that he could do something where he could share an academic experience with his niece, and their fields of study were complementing in some form, but he's not an anthropologist. He is most interested in like the formation of the cave rather than its contents that were left by people, if that makes any sense to you.
Well, yeah, obviously.
So in terms of the significance of the painting that you found, he wouldn't, be able to really tell you much about that. Yes?
This might be out of bounds for me to suggest, but Reiko did mention that there was a hole in the wall that no one else seemed to notice. She did state that in her debrief with everyone after she died. Might be worth bringing up, maybe? I don't know.
that is something that like Jerome would
Okay.
could bring up to the professor. Although I'm not sure what context the professor could understand that in. Like, what is it something that only certain people could see? Like,
Well, it could be like, is this a naturally occurring cave, or would that have been unnatural in the first place?
Hmm.
Like this little chamber.
Um, to answer your questions one by one, the first thing is something that the professor thinks you would understand better than him if it's like something that certain people can see and others could not. As mentioned previously, there are people who are alive that are in the physical world that are better suited to, or better equipped rather, to see and sense beings from the spiritual realm than others. In some cases it's just a matter of like they're actually looking for them, and in some cases you've got like seers and fortune tellers, legitimate ones that can just see them better and hear them better. So maybe something like that was going on. Maybe only certain people could see that opening, but he doesn't know about that. In terms of if such a cavern would be naturally occurring, he says, yes, definitely. It could have been. The opening that Reiko found was like, did not appear as if it were carved. And it was not like a perfectly human shaped opening. You had to like duck down to get through it. Uh, so it's not as if it were designed to be a doorway. And the cavern itself was, kind of crowded, but it's, like it could have been like an air pocket or something that just kind of uh, naturally formed within the mountain that it was in.
like yeah, like it would have had to be some sort of geological. Considering the fact that there is a cave painting in there, either somebody was able to go through solid rock and put it in the room, or that room was at some point exposed to the elements and it was probably closed off due to some kind of geological activity.
When now I'm going to just assume, since we're operating under that, with word reminding us of that information, that we're going to say that you kind of share everything that Reiko has shared with you guys. So we're just gonna assume that, and say that when you mention uh Reiko's experience of like finding the cave and what happened that ended up leading her to the river Styx, that he kind of gravitates towards when you mention uh the weird gas that seems to come up that when things started going bad, right at the beginning. And the professor says like, so perhaps there was some sort of vein of natural gas occurring near where the cave was. Did you see anything like that? You said that you had seen the cave later.
Well, the gas I saw wasn't naturally occurring, but
Right.
but,
Right, the fog cloud that you summoned that everyone thought was going to poison them, yes.
yes, but but when I did go into the room, it did have a certain smell to it. Nothing I can really describe though.
Interesting. I will... I wish I had access to all of my notes right now, but I may have to see if I can find out more about that. And if I discover something, I will definitely share it with you. Because as far as I know, there was nothing about such a thing being found near this site. But maybe such a thing has happened in other places in the hill range that occurs there. Possibly.
Any information you can find would be very helpful, Professor Bergman.
I will endeavor to do my best for you, my dear Jerome. Unless you want to bring up anything else, I think that's all the significant information that gets shared during that conversation. From there, I actually got some physical dice over here so I can make private rolls.
Nice.
Yes.
Smart.
We're going to go over to Dantalion. Dantalion.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So what I was thinking of doing was, I mean, people die horribly all the time, and they don't end up like turning into ghost monsters and wandering around, showing up in Limbo and then disappearing again.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to figure out what's dragging souls out of Limbo and doing that to them. So I've been like looking up like various like weird like speak with the dead rituals, summon spirits things, and through my living world contact that occultist, I'm going to see what they come up with also.
All right. Dantalion. I was going to do this, but if you're going to reach out, then that's fine with me too.
Okay,
you
cool.
reach out to your contact in the living world.
Yes.
You reach out. You get in your room and you kind of sit down and you concentrate. And in your mind's eye, an image appears of a woman wearing wonderful, terrible robes, and very, 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 very fake jewelry.
Gotcha.
And as she appears, you see that she is making this like beckoning motion as if she is the one who has summoned you, even though you have been reaching out to her.
Sure.
And as she appears, she says, "Ah, oh, Dark Lord Dantaleon, I, Madame Simone, now beckon for an audience with you."
Sure. Granted. How might I help you?
I would be interested in me too. So that makes the two of us.
"Oh, Dark Lord Dantaleon, I wish to have knowledge of certain dark events that have haunted my mind recently.
We
There
can
is-
work an exchange.
There is a client that I have that has paid me $20 to talk to her dead fish, and is that something that you can help me with?"
Possibly. Tell me.
Excellent!
The idea of Dantalion going to the farm, to the giant aquarium there, interrogating
I'm
this
looking
fish.
for a Bubbles, a Bubbles that who was once companion to Miss So and So.
Her name is Madame Simone, which is spelled Psymone.
Oh lordy! Of course it
She-
is.
She is a psychic.
Of course it is.
She is very legitimate,
Oh, yes.
even though anyone who would look at her would not think so.
Right, of course.
Oh, that's funny.
Simone, gotcha.
Yep.
Lady Simone, amazing.
Then let us, Dark Lord Dantaleon, set the terms of our blood contract.
Signed in blood. Blood! I mean.
Look, I've got $20 riding on this, but
Okay, I will need you to find rituals, to discover any rituals that might draw forth spirits from the afterlife and bind them to the physical plane.
Of course, my Dark Lord. But like the one we're using right now?
You're not binding me.
Oh, right. Well, I have access to all manner of rituals that can do the thing that you speak of. I think. Sometime I only got halfway through my well. I mean, I have total dominion over the dark arts that allow for communion between the realms.
I trust you. It's almost as reliable as homeopathy.
Yes, I, Madame Simone, last apprentice of Henrietta Crassus, shall endeavor to do everything in my power to appease you in return for this favor of such import.
Excellent. Tell me about the fish so I might seek them out.
His name is Guppy, and he is a goldfish. Or he's a guppy named goldfish. One of those two. He lived on, and she gives you like the little details.
Oh my god.
So I'm going to say that we'll have you roll an investigation with her serving as your proxy to do the work in her library, basically.
Investigation. Roll the dice.
Ooh,
It's very good.
That's very good. Yeah, it's
Ooh,
quite good.
21.
She will need to get back to you, but that's
I
definitely
need
a
to
good
go
start.
track down the fish anyway. So
Yeah. You as soon you lay down that information and do you want to wait for me to get that? No.
No, I must go commune with those to identify the fish.
with your ichthyopathic target.
Nice.
Yes, I understand completely, my Dark Lord. Well then, I'm off to. Starts riffling through pages. Like, yes, I'm sure that it will be somewhere in here. I'm definitely not going through my journal right now. Yep, doing work. How do I hang up? The connection fades.
Covered, don't worry.
Oh God.
I gotta go find a fish. A guppy named Goldfish. Or a goldfish.
Or a goldfish named Guppy. Yeah, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's great.
I was trying to think of a joke. I was thinking of a humongous game called Gup Gup. It's like putt putt.
my God.
Just there you go. Perfect. All right.
Cup. When you hit it into a humongous entertainment. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually know what that is.
There you go.
Okay. And, all right. Go down my list. Reiko.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a few days since you attended the dinner party, and you're chilling at your place. You're sleeping at your place, I should say, which has taken a little bit of getting used to for you because of the whole not having the same cues that indicate that you're getting tired as when you had a physical body that would experience exhaustion and such.
Right. She's just kind of over there going like, all right, I need something to keep better track of this, and I don't have a phone to set an alarm to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
This is a strange situation.
I mean, you can get an alarm clock. They
you
got little
can get
bells
an
on
alarm,
top, and
yes.
Yeah.
Alarm clock, what's that?
Ah, gotcha.
Well, you see, they're generally shaped like a Mickey Mouse.
What a strange fetish.
Yeah, I know. Americans are weird. Italians also American.
I mean, fair.
You are fast asleep, And then you come to the realization that you're not. It kind of like feels like you're asleep because you're lying down and your eyes are shut. But you slowly realize that you're not asleep. And there is this very, very, very soft whistle in your ears.
Oh no, I've got tinnitus.
Hmm.
Can you get tinnitus when you're dead?
What do you want to do?
Hmm. Well, if she's actually hearing something, she'll see if she can source it out.
All right. Give me a perception check.
Hmm.
Okay, 11.
Passive is 15.
You, as you're trying to focus in on the sound, realize that you can hear one other thing, which
Hmm.
is a very slow and steady rhythm.
Hmm.
Boom, 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 boom. It's as you kind of listen to it more, it starts to kind of overtake the low whistle in your ears. Just because, it's got actual like breaks in the sound. Uh, but you can't again seem to tell where it's coming from.
Looking around, is she still in her dormitory and whatnot?
You don't see anything.
Oh, good. I'm having a dream while I'm dead. Does that make
When
me an
you
elder god?
no, when you let me roll something here. Okay. Yep. You don't see anything. And then as you think to yourself, like, I wonder if I'm somewhere, you open your eyes and you're in your apartment again. And the sound is gone.
Oh, they didn't tell me that you can dream. I don't know if I should have expected that or not. Hmm. So irritating whistling, percussion in the distance. I need to rewatch Army of Darkness.
We'll have to roll later to see if that's one of the movies that made it down here.
Chainsaw
Oh,
hand.
Oh, I fully believe that they would have it.
I imagine that every time Sam Raimi directs a movie, and instantly ends up here.
Sometimes even before it debuts in theaters.
Well, where do you think the test audience is? You know,
I imagine like there really is just this really popular like video store, and everything's just in VHS and reel to reel.
It's where all the blockbusters went, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we have one of those. Yeah.
It
There
literally
you
is
are.
the last drive-in.
Okay.
Well then, back to work, I suppose. Maybe Gideon will be able to make some sense of. Nah, never mind. Maybe Tananar could make some sense of this.
Not an inaccurate conclusion to draw. like I could just picture the first answer Tan's gonna give. We ask him a question, so we'll get there.
All right.
And then we'll get over to be back to Gideon. Since you were asking the question, or we're launching into the investigation from a new angle.
Yes. Looking into weird, spooky, haunting bullshit or unexplained phenomena around the locations of all the SNR deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Because if someone's haunting them, maybe that'll give us some fucking...
Right. So I will go ahead and tell you. So there's going to be a roll for this.
Yeah, I figured.
But I'm going to tell you that there is going to be something that you learn, regardless of the result.
That's fair.
But there are certain other details that may be available to you.
Sure. All right. So what do you want me to roll?
Investigation.
That's kind of what I guessed, but I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
All right. Investigation. Hang on, where's my... there it is, okay. Bob. 12.
All right.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll leave it that. Yeah, sure.
So you start digging into this, making inquiries, and it's one of those kinds of things where because the exact sort of data that you're trying to get is varied and kind of strewn about, and also has a lot of parameters.
Yep.
It's kind of like, pardon me, when you kind of have to individually send an inquiry on every single case. Like, have there been poltergeist, onryo, bogey appearances in this area, after this time, and you have to do that for basically every single case.
The other issue is that the other half of the angle I want to work in theory is looking into, like, not just like on our end, but like unexplained phenomena ever being reported in, like, the mortal world, which is much harder for me to pull off.
Exactly. It's going to be more difficult to get that kind of information. In cases where, those kinds of incidents have been addressed and logged, then that would be more readily available.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But there is a case that you get back relatively quickly.
Ooh.
As in 1 week after we had the last session.
A week is impressive, honestly.
This is kind of a matter of recency effect, because one of the SNRs that came to you is from roughly a month and a half ago. There was a woman who showed up named Cecilia Teague.
Cecilia Teague, okay.
UK resident, and same thing happened with her as happened with basically all the others. They showed up, went through processing, got sent to you, and then were gone. Never vanished before they reached you. Never showed up in Limbo again. There has been a reported sighting of, well, not a sighting rather, but a reported haunting that has been going on in the town that Cecilia lived in. A small town called Tenporth.
All right, Tenporth. All right.
That's basically the only detail that you have on it, is that there is a haunting that started about 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
So a month and a half, then 3 weeks ago, but then again, maybe it had been going on before the 3 weeks ago.
But this is just the earliest report that I have access to.
Right. There's a bit of a time difference. It's not like, she disappeared a month and a half ago and then 80 days ago. Not 80 days. What am I talking about? And then it's not like she disappeared 45 days ago and then 44 days ago there was a ghost that was going around that was going, "I'm Cecilia Teague." No. It's not like that.
No. No, there's a haunting of some sort going on in the town that started that the first report we found is 3 weeks ago. That's all we got.
Yeah.
Right. That's totally reasonable. All right. Fascinating. Where am I when I find out about this?
You're in your office,
In my
I
office,
assume,
okay.
unless you want to be somewhere else.
No, the office is great. All right. Okay. So yes, I will. I'm assuming this is like in some sort of file I'm reading over at the moment. Unless someone's like delivered, unless it's like via message, via like a phone call or tube or what have you.
Probably you've been getting information. I'm going to assume that instead of like sending out like inquiries on everything, you've basically been like saying, "Get me any information on ghost sightings or hauntings, etc., at this place within this amount of time," and it's all been getting sent back to you, and then you have been doing
Going through all the paperwork.
Those.
Okay. All right. So from whoever happens to be in the office at the time, that's fine. You'll notice Gideon is sort of shuffling through large, copious quantities of paper, sort of making various noises of sort of and all of a sudden, aha, an actual lead. Interesting. All right. Well, how to act upon this? So, who is who is around? Out of curiosity, this is open to any of the players, obviously.
Yeah.
Right now, Jerome is probably doing his interview.
That's fair.
With
That's totally reasonable.
Reiko's probably available.
Okay.
Tan can be made available, but that involves you going over to the fulcrum. And,
Okay, you're over the fulcrum. That's totally fair. Dan, where's Dan? By the Eric.
Dan's on his way to the farm.
Okay,
right
so
now.
you headed off to the farm. Did you tell me where you were? I don't. You probably did tell me where you were going, and I probably didn't notice.
the best part of this is that
Yeah.
the best part of this is Dan's actually doing it and just not lying to this poor woman.
Poor woman, huh?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Oh, okay. Well, Dan, I did tell him to go somewhere. Well, Reiko.
Hello there, Gideon.
Out of curiosity, are you familiar with anything in the small towns of the United Kingdom?
Small towns, as in not the big cities?
Yes.
I'm going to go with no.
It was a shot. Well, I seem to have found a haunting that started roughly not particularly long after one of the more recent SNRs happened. In the small town, in the hometown of the being in question. Haunting started approximately 3 weeks ago in the town of Tenporth in the United Kingdom. I believe England specifically. I have no idea where that is. I can find that. That's not an issue.
Tenporth is in Cornwall.
Cornwall. Well, okay.
Southwest of
Southwest.
England.
Well, you say. So we're going into the one area of the United Kingdom that Jerome probably shouldn't go to. Have you not heard of the Owlman of Manon? Because
there's a lot of ghost stories from rural England. So
yeah, there's a village in Cornwall called Manon, and there's a tales of a giant owlman there. I'm just like, maybe that's not a place Jerome should go to. He's probably the reason why there's those stories.
So, Jeremy, you're familiar with a town in Cornwall called Tenporth?
Familiar?
We don't talk about that.
Jerome's like, yeah.
Did I?
There's apparently a haunting going on there.
I invoke my right to not testify against myself. What?
this has nothing to do with you. What did you do something there, Jerome? Anyways,
I'm sorry. You mentioned it was in Cornwall. I'm like, oh wow,
that's great. No, it's
it's the one
hilarious.
place I shouldn't be.
That's hilarious. This is going to require more research. I don't have much beyond. There's a haunting going on there, but it is an actual lead. I suppose I could reach out to some other people who might have who operate more in the mortal world than I do. When was the last time? Oh Lord! When was the last time I actually did anything in England? Is that when I was still doing full? Probably back when I was a Reaper full time. Oh dear! I don't even know who the current monarch is.
That's okay.
No, that's just sort of Gideon is out of touch. That's the point. Well, I suppose I could start by asking. I suppose Jerome and Tannars might have done some work in that area. Might have some contacts they might be able to get in touch with or something, or ideas of how to figure out more stuff in that area. This is outside my. This sort of research is a little bit outside my realm of expertise. I mean, I suppose I could just go there and talk to people, but that didn't go so well in Florida.
I mean, you did find the missing person.
I did. We did, but yeah.
Yeah, and I downed a whole bunch of energy drinks. It was great.
That was wonderful. That was great. I'm sure you're doing quite well from that.
Certain details that completely leave my mind after we're done playing.
Reiko,
Yes.
would you be willing to go to the I forgot the name of the sketches. The
Fulcrum.
The Fulcrum.
going to the Fulcrum and finding Tannars and delivering sort of this information to him. See if he's got any ideas. I will try to get a hold of Jerome.
All right then.
I don't know if Tannars has a phone there.
Potentially SNR related haunting in a small town in rural England.
Yes, and
Anything
if he's
else?
got any idea, if he has any ideas of how to investigate to get more information on said haunting, I would be most appreciative for any assistance he might be able to lend if he's got any ideas.
Can do.
Thank you very much.
I'll be right over.
All right.
And then I will try to put a call through to Jerome, since I know Jerome has a phone.
Jerome does in fact have a phone.
Yes.
Tan might have a phone. Does Tan have a working phone?
I have no
A
idea.
decorative one.
I have no idea.
I just got one because everyone was getting them. They're fashionable.
Exactly. Like, listen, there was the phone, and we also engaged in the phone swap where everyone just kind of exchanges each other's phones with each other. You know.
Well, that's useful.
Even more useful would be funny if people just exchanged phone numbers, so they just never know who you're calling.
Right.
Oh, great, love it. That's going to be the phone.
I will then try to call Jerome.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to assume Jerome is getting this call probably just shortly after.
That seems like it'd be convenient timing. Yes.
Yes, convenient timing. The representative to the left, like Jerome, just like, oh, who could that be? And he goes over to like an old, like 1980s Soviet telephone.
That's more current than mine.
It's like, ahoy, ahoy.
Greetings, Saint Jerome. This is Gideon.
Gideon, what can I do for you?
So I've been doing some. I don't know if I think I mentioned to you my current theory on a possible angle for investigation. Correct? On the SNRs.
Yes, you mentioned looking into local hauntings to see if they were.
Yes, and unexplained phenomena and the like. I have had a bit of a lead. It looks like. One of the more recent SNRs, a woman by the name of Cecilia Teague, from originally from Tenporth in Cornwall, England. She's one of the ones who disappeared recently, but approximately
here's Cornwall.
She disappeared about a month and a half ago. But 3 weeks ago, hauntings started happening in her hometown of Tenporth, and that's the extent of the information we have here in Limbo. I need to come up with an angle of attack, as it were, for investigating it further. Probably has to happen in the mortal world, and that is not, as I said before, my primary area of expertise. So I was looking to see if you had any possible suggestions or leads of your own, or contacts you might have in the area, or not necessarily contacts, but.
It's like, Cornwall. It's been some years.
Well, you've probably been there more recently than I have.
Well, the first thing I would do is, if it is in fact in the newspaper, would be to possibly go to a local library in the area and see if they had anything in their archives. But it may be too recent for that. You may simply have to go onto the local paper's website. If this is indeed a very small town, it's almost certain that somebody wrote something about it. These towns have nothing going on in them. any sort of news is going to make the front page.
A goose goes in and torments the local townsfolk, and it somehow is the front page every day.
It's the two cops from Hot Fuzz going after the goose. Yes.
It's just the one ghost.
I see. So, this sounds like I may have to head to the mortal world to investigate this.
With the local paper, maybe head down to the local pub, get a pint, talk to some people.
I see.
Sliding right into the little accent there, I see.
I'm sure I'll be able to find a way to fit in quite well. That works so well in Florida.
A pint, wait for the whole thing to blow over.
And of course, there is the old standby, which is just going to the police and pretending to be a relative looking for information about this this missing person. So they have any information, of course.
Although I think this person might not be. Well, we don't know. I don't have the details on what happened to them in the mortal world. That should be something we should probably look into as well, I suppose.
It's true. The authorities may not know that someone died in the area.
Very well.
And Jerome kind of sort of tilts his head a little bit while he's on the phone. He's like, I'm not really up for it. I'm into anything right now, but I could send you an assist if you want me to come.
That might be of help. I will see if I've dispatched Reiko to discuss to see if Tenars has any ideas, and I have no idea where Dentalion is. So,
oh, don't worry. The devil always shows up at what he's least expected.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I imagine he's. Are you back?
I thought this would be an excellent point for me to return. Yes.
Dentalion, you've returned. One moment, I will explain.
You've got like a fish in a bag.
I mean, it's like one of those round crystal fish bowls.
Dentalion is returned with a fish.
Yeah, it's important for research purposes. I know it sounds like I'm lying, but I'm not.
No, I assumed you were telling the truth. It's just something I do. It's a research I'm not aware of. That's all. Yes. One moment. Jerome, if you, we may have to make a trek there, and if you were willing and able, any assistance would of course be welcome. You were very helpful when in Florida.
Of course. I'll send a note into work, and then I will be on my way.
Okay. Very well.
Be there anons.
Very well. So, Dentalion. Fish.
Yes, fish. Yeah, I need to have a conversation with the fish and relay that conversation to a psychic.
Well, good enough. Very well. So
Finally, something
as an aside,
straightforward.
I do have a lead. What I was I was discussing with Jerome, a lead I have on the one of the SNRs.
Oh, excellent.
So a woman by the name of Cecilia Teague passed away in Cornwall, England, about a month and a half ago, and then was here, processed, poof.
Right. Kind of like our buddy. What was
Yes.
his name? Hector. Eric doesn't remember his name.
Yeah,
I wanna say
Alex.
Alex. Okay. Where did
Yes,
I get
Alex.
Hector from?
I don't know. But yes, Miss Teague was from Tenporth. Apparently, her hometown Tenporth has recently, it was approximately 3 weeks ago, has been reporting hauntings.
Huh.
So that is a potential lead.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this being Limbo, we don't have much beyond. The fact that we have reports of actual hauntings is a good step for us. Unfortunately,
usually if there are hauntings, it's because we've got someone there doing a haunting.
yes, and apparently it's not that.
Huh.
At least, not that I've been able to find. That doesn't mean that's not the
Are
case.
we sure are we sure these are real hauntings and not like a prank or just
I have no idea.
some guy on too much PCP or LSD?
This
or
is what
whatever
this.
an acronym the kids are doing these days.
I suppose that is possible. We will have to investigate. I think.
Yeah, I guess we could check that out.
I mean, it's.
Um,
I'm at a loss for other ideas. That Jerome suggested a couple of possibilities, and I sent Reiko to see if Tenars has any ideas. If you've got any, I would love to hear them.
Well, I need to talk with the psychic regarding the fish.
Oh yeah, yes, of course.
Who was also looking into like various like rituals and spells that can like bind a spirit to the
Ooh.
material realm.
Interesting.
Because I think that's
so
what
that is the
happened to Alex.
That's the angle you were taking. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. Talk to your psychic contact. That's an excellent
Yeah.
idea. But yeah, if you have time to come along, that'd be most helpful. I suspect you are.
Oh no, I'll definitely come along. I just need to get the conversation.
Oh, of
with the
course.
fish started.
Please please relay the information from your fishy friend there.
Yeah.
Is that a?
So seriously, was your name Guppy or was it Goldfish? I can't remember. I say as I continue walking along.
All right.
It's not every day you look for someone tries to get in contact with a fish.
You know, I come into these sessions with certain things prepared ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
A goldfish named Guppy or a guppy named Goldfish. It was not one of them.
Sometimes you just get inspired. Okay.
I think I say this every week, Nick, but welcome to my world.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So you guys said about getting prepped in your various ways. Dan, there is not really any important updates that are to be shared from Madame Simone yet. Because, you know, you went and got the fish about like 2 hours ago or something like that. In terms of like, if you want to ask about like British ghosts and stuff like that, I mean, she'll like throw some very well-known like pop culture hauntings at you. But in terms of current events, she is not going to be super helpful. That's not where she lives.
All right. But I have an idea as to what kind of magics I'm looking for then. If there are magics involved. No, I'm sorry.
I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, like she doesn't have a whole lot to update you on yet.
Okay. I can wait. It's not a big deal. If we need to go someplace else, that's cool. I think the fish will be fine, like hanging out with me. Or in my room until
for this session. The Italian has a fish companion, sure. All right. What have I done?
Bloop. I don't know. What do you think, Guppy? Bloop.
Feed me. And Reiko, you are off to the Fulcrum, I guess, to talk to Tan. Yep. So I guess that's going to be up to you guys how that goes.
Well, I have an idea what's happening when Reiko arrives at the Fulcrum.
Cool.
So Reiko will head on over with the usual spring in her step because the Fulcrum just never seems to disappoint. And she will, stop by and say hello to a few of the people that she's met along the way, but, isn't going to like super commit or anything as she makes her way to Tananar's domicile.
Well, before you do that, though, before you even enter the Fulcrum, there's like a banner set up on the exterior, actually.
Oh, is there?
Yes. I was talking about like the various like festivities stuff that are happening, and one such the event is happening right now. It is their I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it because it's not like it's not like any sort of annual time scale because time is weird around here, but it's their quote unquote monthly or whatever we'll call it Noctober Fest that's going on.
Is there a Final Fantasy 14 15 rather fan art everywhere or what?
I mean, yeah, I'm sure in some portion there. I'm just taking just not Nocturnal and Oktoberfest and just smash into a single word there. So it's their regular night festival that they do, which is just an excuse to again make the courtyard fairly dark, dimly lit, and having various things going on about. And so when you go in, you'll see the bustle of activities in the courtyard at the moment.
Well, all right then. Things certainly seem, well, lively, amusingly enough.
I will say, though, that it is fairly easy to find anyone that you want to within the... I just wanted to drop that on Nick just because I heard the Noctoberfest came into my mind. I'm like, okay, I got to use that today.
So there's all right. There is this large veil that has been erected over the entire compound to darken the weird sourceless natural light that is present during quote unquote daytime in Limbo. And within the veil are artificial points of light as if it is a starry sky. And there are people, a lot of people are dressed in very night-y kind of clothing, which takes various different interpretations. Some people are dressed in like almost espionage infiltration gear. Some are dressed as nocturnal, are dressed in ways that are reminiscent of nocturnal creatures. Or beings associated with the night, if not purely nocturnal. So there's clothing that has what looks like wolf furs in it. A lot of you see some stuff that has been clearly designed by Maple that you swear is somehow immediately recognizable as like bush baby clothing. Like you don't know how you managed to decide it, but it's very obvious what it is. There's a lot of people wearing weird night vision goggles and stuff, and a lot of stuff is going on. How's that, Skitch?
Well, thank you. Don't forget the food trucks. Anyways, but yes, that I think that's a good description of what Reiko's walking in on.
Sorry about that. I had to mute my mic.
Okay.
Try
and come up with like an entire thing based off of that one prompt. It's like, fine, I'll do it.
I mean, I was going to be more than happy to describe what it was, but he came up with a better idea. Okay, so
Reiko sees all of this going on, and it's just kind of like Well, all right then. So yeah, she will give passing greetings to those who have made an impression upon her on her way to Tananar. Presuming that she doesn't find him there, then she'll move on to the office.
Tan is in the courtyard, yes.
Okay.
Tan has a pair of what look to be night vision goggles, but it's clear glass on it because Tan doesn't actually doesn't know it. Does Tan have night vision? No, Tan does not have night vision. So Tan actually does have night vision goggles on. But it's otherwise pretty recognizable, based
Here, give
on
me those glass ones. I can see.
but Tan is just sort of, Tan is in the tactical gear mode for today with this particular Knocktober. Maybe next time they'll go for the owl motif. They'll have to consult Jerome on the best way to look sufficiently owl-like for it.
Who's louder? Louder!
But Tan does cheerfully wave at Reiko upon seeing her.
Hello.
Well, a second. Let me get the voice on here. There we go. Hello there. I suppose I didn't mention that this is a common occurrence here, but welcome to Knocktober.
Tan, this place never ceases to amaze.
Well, I'm glad that the community here is to your liking. But what brings you here for now?
Well, first order of business, Gideon might have a lead, and it involves a haunting in some rural village in England, and I don't know a thing about it. He doesn't know a thing about it. And so he was hoping that you might have some ideas about the whole thing, and she'll continue to relay the rest of the instruction and whatnot. Yeah.
I see. Well, hauntings are more of Jerome's territory, but I'm fairly certain that with them on board, we should be able to get some answers. But what other business do you have here?
Well, I also had a dream, which no one told me that I could have dreams here. I didn't think that was going to be a thing. So, that happened, and it involved a shrill whistle, that was faint, followed by what sounded like drums in the distance or something. And I feel like I really need to have a movie night now.
I see.
There is also a portion of the festivities where there is a movie night that is happening.
Don't
Yes.
tempt me. Don't
It's a
tempt me.
it's
Don't
a
tempt me.
it's a night themed festival, so there's a movie night happening.
Yeah,
Lead
exactly.
me not to
There's-
temptation. I can find it on my own.
I mean, Ted just kind of gestures over at like the bed sheet that's been set up as a projector like thing there, and then there's there looks to be like a film projector with like what seem to be like somehow like fireflies, which are bright enough to illuminate the film that's being projected. The reel of film does not move, yet the images on screen do. I don't know. Listen, we're just having fun here,
Sometimes when you try and imitate technology from the physical world, you just decide it doesn't need to work exactly how it does. It just needs to look like it does.
All that matters are the results. Who cares about method?
Exactly.
Who cares about
Exactly.
But Tan, well, I was going to ask, could Tan try to glean information about what those elements of Reiko's dream could allude to, like the poetry of dreams, as it were?
Okay. Let me look at your character sheet real quick. So the first thing that comes to mind in terms of doing this would be just a regular old insight check.
Okay.
In terms of doing something else, I don't think that there is really anything that fits well into what kind of thing this would be. This is, this is going to be a matter of like trying to almost like psycho-evaluate someone based off of the dream description. So I don't think that there's really any skill that better suits it than insight.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. Like Tan will attempt to insight the situation with an 18.
Yeah, and I think that it's appropriate if Reiko, if you want to give him the help action, because I mean, you guys are like both trying to understand this together.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead and do that with advantage, I suppose.
Right.
It's 18 still.
18.
I part of my whole headcanon about the Fulcrum's shenanigans, especially around Reiko, is that at some point Reiko's outfit has somehow been changed to be more appropriate for the festival. It all fits properly, but like somehow the tailors have gotten to Reiko again.
Yeah, she walked in with, just like her sweater and whatnot, and then like by the time she reaches Tan, she's dressed like Elvira. She doesn't realize it. And she just kind of looks down and she's like, wait. Cool.
Wait, how? But what? Oh.
But
you pick up. It's a party. You pick up your coat on the way out, obviously.
Something like that.
But Tan will just mull over this with that 18, being like,
With an 18 insight, obviously, like Reiko's not working on a whole lot of information. But what you think might be the case is because she describes, the low whistle, the faint whistle, I should say, and the rhythmic thumping, and you realize it might not be drums in the distance. It doesn't have the regular frequency of it, but it's got the cadence of a heartbeat.
yes, I was gonna say like yes. Yeah.
But it sounds like it would be an incredibly slow heartbeat based on the way that Reiko is describing it.
Well, from what you described, is certainly not a beat one is meant to tap their foot to, but yes, I would suspect that the drum that you heard was a heartbeat. Whose heartbeat? I can't say for sure.
Appearance. Now, why would I be going and dreaming about heartbeats when no one has one?
Well, no one has one here, but people have had heartbeats before when they were alive.
I suppose.
I'm sure there are those that dream of sunrises, even though those don't happen here, at least not naturally. So, suppose the question really comes down to, whether the heartbeat you were hearing was from the perspective of yourself, whoever you were in that dream, or someone else's.
All right, well then, riddle me this. What would the whistle be then? The faint, shrill whistle. How would that relate to the heartbeat?
Yeah, so the two thoughts I'm having in my head is like, one would be tinnitus, and the other would be like just like wind, effectively, like whistling wind against something or things like that.
With an 18 insight, I can't narrow that down for you, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well,
that's an incredibly vague detail on purpose on my part. So,
well, I can't say that I have the answers for now. The best I could suggest that you do is making sure to document as much detail as you can, and in the off chance that you find yourself in that same domain in your dreams, that you are able to pull more from it For the time being, this is the best I can propose for information about that. But, well, you know, there are those who don't dream in the afterlife. I would say that you should feel thankful that you do dream in some extent.
Huh. That's rather strange, don't you think?
I would say for those in limbo, it's not particularly strange. Those who have passed on to a realm beyond limbo itself, it is likely by that point that any desires or hopes or worries and such have been resolved in such a way that the need for the mind to dream has diminished. But in limbo, this is where many people are held before they move on. And while here, things are still chaotic enough that the mind can find itself wandering on ideas and aspirations. And I think with those aspirations come dreams.
Am I to take that as I'm aspiring to be alive again?
If you want to interpret it from that angle, that is one interpretation. But I suppose the more important question would be, why would you want to be alive again if you were given the chance?
Great question. She says, looking around and, just kind of taking in how, this is her scene. It's like, why would she want to be alive?
Well, unfortunately, I can't presume to know the answer to that question. I can merely suggest ways for you to contemplate on it. That being said, dreams are, as some would presume, a window into those thoughts. And while you may not be presenting those thoughts in some way, shape, or form, they might still exist for a reason. So understanding that might give you some cleaner insight about, well, maybe answers to your own questions about the nature of this afterworld that you find yourself in.
I figured it was only a matter of time before we got into the questions about philosophy and metaphysical nonsense. I knew the fun wouldn't last.
Oh, well, I mean, if you want to get into those discussions, we do have philosophy days as well.
I'm sure you do.
Those are
Spelled DAZE.
There's a lot of drugs involved.
and sometimes people actually come to conclusions during those.
How avant-garde.
Well, actually, there was this one instance where somebody came to a degree of realization about themselves and then immediately disappeared from limbo all at once. It was quite a show.
What, did they conclude that they don't exist?
No, they simply concluded and realized what their intended destination in the afterlife was. And just like that, they, I wouldn't say ascended, but they had transferred on the spot to their new domain.
Oh, that's certainly wild.
It did catch a lot of us off guard when it happened, but at the end of the day, everyone has a place that they ultimately either wish to be or deserve to be. And I think for most people in limbo, they do have the aspiration to be where they wish to be, as opposed to being sent to where they deserve to be. Usually that implies something, well, something that Gideon would be more attuned to about what happens.
Well, something to think about. Anyhow, I didn't come over here to ponder philosophy. I did come over here for the message, and I think I will hang around here for the festivities for a little bit, but at least as long as I have this dress. And then we can head over and do the boring thing.
I believe that dress is yours to keep, knowing the people who make those clothes around here.
Oh, sure, but I think it would be rude to not show it off.
I mean, that is appropriate for an Elvira costume, I guess. So, that's what she would have wanted. So
I'm thinking of the perspective of the the weavers and whatnot.
oh,
You know,
well,
like they went through the effort of like making it and getting it on me without me noticing. That is some masterclass effort, and that would be a waste otherwise.
right. If you guys are done there, I think that we'll get into the gathering portion of this.
Mm-hmm.
That was all great, by the way. Thank you guys for that.
Hopefully, what I was saying about how the afterlife work makes sense is not contradicting anything you had planned, Nick.
Nothing seemed to be glaringly contradictory to what I've envisioned, so I think that was good. I will also say there's something I had meant to do. Jerome, if you can give me an investigation check, this will just kind of like be stuff that will say has been going on in the background for you.
Ooh, 19.
19. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's
pretty
better.
good. So you have this is kind of the information that you walk out the door with after I had kind of like been getting it filtered to you over the last weekish as you've been looking into it. And you might also get a little bit of this from Professor Bergman while you guys are talking. You have been trying to keep tabs on the physical world investigation into Reiko's disappearance to see how that's been going on. From what information has gotten to Limbo, it sounds like one, her body has not been found, which is causing people involved in the investigation to get obviously worried because there is only so long that a person can, live in a cave before lack of resources makes it, almost certainly fatal for them. While this is going on, there has also been some complications involved with the people who were there for the dig, because police are trying to, keep people there for questioning and interviews and stuff like that. But it was all part of a university program involving international students who are only supposed to be there for a set period of time. And so the fact that it's a week plus after Reiko disappeared means that some of them are supposed to be going back home. So there is some butting of heads over what's going on there. You're not really sure, obviously you're not privy to details of is someone particularly under a lot of pressure being blamed for the incident or anything like that. In terms of Reiko's personal life and how her people in her life are reacting to it, it sounds like her parents have been flown out to be nearby. That's about all you know about it on that end so far.
All right. Got that written down. Good to know.
All right. So you guys meet up, and you have this lead to try and follow up on. Do
Yes.
you guys want to head to the physical world again?
That is what Gideon is thinking, but is eminently willing to listen to other suggestions. Because
All right, well, you guys could...
going to the physical world for things other than he's not comfortable with doing things in the physical world outside of what he's actually supposed to be good at.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will say that Gideon has almost certainly handled incidents of resolving hauntings.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
But This is obviously still quite different from what you're used to having done in, your
Yes.
past multiple centuries of existence.
I mean, yes, like if Gideon wanted to, he like going to the sites of the haunting and like waiting for a ghost to show up and reaping it, he could do that.
Mhm.
Or talking to what have you. But like, there's some investigatory stuff that probably should be done first. That while he is technically capable of it, that's not what he's confident in his ability to do. Like, my skills are actually set up quite to be pretty good at a lot of that stuff. It's just Gideon is
Like
awkward
doing it. Yeah. All right. So you guys come together. What kind of options are you laying on the table then?
Well, as I said, I will go over what I again sort of I will introduce, just to make sure everyone's up to speed. Let everyone know what I've found and where it is and what my, and I'll basically get into. So I'm thinking that we should probably head to the material world and do some investigation there, so we can find out more about the haunting in question before going to directly to these sites which have been reported, and see if we can confront whatever's doing the haunting there. Assuming this is actually a legitimate haunting and not just something, some drunk made up, and it's in someone who is inebriated made up and has had it added, so reported to the papers and such.
Righto.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. That sounds like a decent plan.
Good. Jerome has
again,
suggested possibly looking into newspaper information in possibly the libraries, or maybe just on their what was the term, Jerome? Website?
Yes, I mean it's the latest thing.
Uh-huh.
Even small towns have them now.
Uh-huh. This is a computer thing, correct?
This is a computer thing. There's going to be a lot of computer things, and they're not that latest. They've been around for decades at this point.
Really, I'm glad they took off.
Huh.
Oh, you have no idea.
Not like something involving spiders, then.
Oh no.
There's certainly spiders on there, but that usually tends to be photographs or works of art.
Man, I remember when the original search things was called Spider.
We'll also want to check out the cheat sheets while we're in town.
Cheat sheets?
Yeah, Weekly World News, Daily Sun.
Oh, yep, yeah.
These are news-based periodicals of some sort, I take it.
Yes, these are periodicals that have rather fanciful stories in them that are proclaimed to be true. And every so often you find a hit on some of these things.
Ah, interesting. Fascinating. All right. Well, we should probably get some things together and go then. Those of you need to request physical forms. I can sign off on any forms that are needed.
Is there any way that we can go about that without using such things? I have to say, they don't fit at all. And it kind of sucks.
If any of you guys want to go to the physical world without a physical body, you can definitely do so. There are certain limitations to what you will be able to do. Certain possible advantages, since you won't have to, interact with everything physically. But you will also be under a bit more of a time constraint, which could potentially cause complications.
Oh, sure. Reiko's mostly asking because the one that she was provided on short notice was not to her standards.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. I'm just saying that as like a potential option. If you guys want to go as incorporeals, will work with that. If you guys want to go as a mixed group, where some of you are corporeal and some are not, we can also do that.
I mean, Gideon can sort of be either or. He doesn't need a thing. So,
right.
Jerome is probably going to take a physical body this time, although it won't be the owl body, considering the whole thing with the owls going on in Cornwall. When he gets to the bodies, the people, they're like, no, we're not giving you one because of where you're going. We know what happened last time.
All right. So before I forget, Reiko. So I take it you You are in need of a more customized physical form, is what you're saying.
Well, I had a rather customized physical form in the first place.
I mean, technically everyone does.
You know what I mean.
I do know what you mean, but I'm.
So not all of us can have like a dozen spider libs coming out of our shoulder blades, okay?
Well, that wouldn't blend in very well, now would it?
See, this guy gets it.
I can see what we can do. I don't think we'll be able to arrange for a customized one for this one, but we can definitely arrange for one for future, if that's possible, if need be.
I'm going to rule,
Okay,
based on the precise request that Reiko is wanting to make and the nature of the human brain, that this is not the first time someone has made such a request.
Sure.
And there is probably a possibility that you can swing it.
Oh, sure.
So,
okay, great. Oh, okay. Well, I will. Let me rephrase then. I will ask to see what can be arranged, Reiko. If that is
Thank
not,
you.
Nope.
Do you need any help with persuading someone with?
So 4 of them are already out on lease, but there is the 5th one. It just has permanent clown makeup.
God no. I will say Gideon is actually pretty good at persuasion. It's one of the things he's actually good at. But yes, possibly 10 hours. Let me see if I can arrange something first. If I need assistance, I will definitely ask though. But yes, I think we will it strikes me we should probably requisition some local currency before we go as well. Or something to use as local currency, because we may need to acquire some of these periodicals, and that requires currency, correct?
Yes, this usually does require it. Although, like, I heard they do give them away free with fishing ships.
But that would also require currency, correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Very well.
I'm talking about like getting them in a basket with like.
Well, that's what they wrap fish and chips in often is newspaper.
Okay.
Not always up to date newspaper. Usually not.
One would hope not. Lovely.
Very well. All right. So Gideon will get on
there's a little bit of confusion when you get there, because you're like, what? What do you mean they won't take euros anymore? So, but
well, I mean they were never on the. I mean, they would take euros, but they were never on the euro.
Exactly. I know, but it's a bit more complicated to do it now.
Oh, sure. But yeah,
I imagine Gideon's more like, what? They don't take Orias anymore?
No, actually, last time Gideon was there, they were on the pound sterling, and it was actually really the pound sterling. It was legitimately backed by silver.
As bad of an idea as that is.
Oh, it's a terrible idea.
I always have to kind of bring up. Like,
oh no, absolutely. Oh my god. But at any rate, yes. But yes, Gideon is aware of the pound sterling, the pound. Like, yes, that's what the UK's currency has always been, the pound, as far as Gideon's aware. Yep. Well, no, not always, but last time he was there, it was. It's been that way for centuries.
Yep. All right.
He'll be confused by the current currency, probably, but whatever. Well, not confused, but like, different.
All right. So you guys go to requisition bodies again. Go through the passport stamping, essentially. Yes. It goes a bit more smoothly this time, since this is not going to be Reiko's first visit this time.
Hooray!
And Reiko, a more comfortable body is found for you. This is not the first time that they've gotten a request of this manner, in terms of like shapes and sizes being more comfortable to someone after they've adapted to a spiritual form.
Right.
And because this, and again, because this is not your first time going out, then someone's actually like taking the time of like, oh well, if this person is going to be working with a guy who might be going to the physical world to investigate stuff, maybe we should actually like go in the back and find like a set of pants that fit, kind of thing.
Right.
Anyone have any particular requests or details on the physical forms that you guys are going to be taking?
Gideon is doing his usual thing, so And we'll probably end up
Roger.
looking like a somewhat schlumpy, quote, investigative journalist, end quote.
Tom Selleck, but it looks like he walked off the set of Peaky Blinders instead of Magnum PI.
Gotcha.
But yes, Gideon's whole thing is he's definitely a reporter of some sort, investigating these hauntings. That's my current cover.
So I like this trend we're going with, where D'Italian just looks like Tom Selleck, but in a procedural crime or police show that is appropriate for this setting. Just the wardrobe.
Jerome looks suspiciously like James Hong.
Oh,
Interesting.
okay. I can see it. Yeah.
Like just like full on a 93-year-old James Hong.
All right.
I would say that Tan is going with some nice, let's say, dark trousers, leather shoes, collared shirt underneath a sweater. Just something that's just sensible but appropriate for whatever the time of year this is.
All right. So, Nick,
Yeah.
after the last time, Gideon has requested a mobile phone.
Ooh.
Because he was told that these are common. So he should probably have one.
All right, make a persuasion check.
Absolutely.
For this.
18.
All right. Yeah, you get you get a phone that's that it takes you a little bit of time to figure out how it works.
Mhm.
Until Reiko, I'm going to just say, takes pity on you trying to work it for a little bit, and she's like, no, and slides the number pad out from underneath it, and it shows you where all the buttons are and stuff.
Excellent.
It is not a flip phone; it's one of those slide click open things.
Sure. Excellent. Horrifically out of date still, but
yes,
but we're not going to do much better from here.
Right.
I will also have that. I will also have the camera I had last time because, yeah.
You might get some looks, but not as many looks as if you had a brick phone. Or a flip phone.
Gideon is does not look young, so it's like he's got an out of date phone. Yeah, that's not that shocking.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I will bring with me several notepads and such stuff into jacket pockets and pencils and such, and some currency. I'm trying to think of anything else that he would probably request, and I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, also just something to identify myself as Gideon something or other, associated with some fictitious newspaper in the United States, probably, or whatever.
False press pass kind of thing.
Well, press pass in air quotes.
Right.
Credentials.
Identification. Yes, that's the word. Yeah. All right.
I'm clearly a reporter from somewhere. I don't know. Actually, no. He's probably he probably will sound to everyone around. He'll probably sound like he's from somewhere in England. I just don't know where off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely not from town.
Okay. Yeah, Jerome just makes sure he has some proper ID made for him. Okay, see, it's that's the cops get want some ID or something.
Driver's license kind of thing.
Whatever UK driver's license is.
All right. Okay, you guys head out then. You arrive in a gray town because England, everything I know about is that it's gray. That's all I know about it.
Did we accidentally end up in Slough? Oh, shit.
It's a bit, kind of hilly. There is, and it's also not too far from the sea. It is, like I said, it's in Cornwall, which is in, that kind of For those not aware, it's in that like kind of bit at the bottom southwest that sticks pretty far to the west southwest. That is where the township is located. So you guys arrive in this area. There are it's rural, but it's not like farmland or anything. It's there's some. It's big enough that there's like town centers and such, and
3 pubs and 1 Games Workshop store.
yeah, it's a small town, but it is a town.
Right.
All right. So you guys were mentioning getting newspapers and that kind of thing. Is that where you want to head to?
Well, I will definitely. The first thing Gideon will do is he will find a newsstand and will purchase a couple of newspapers.
Roger that. You approach the stand. There is, there's a guy who's just kind of like tending the counter, just kind of like watch over things, make sure people don't steal stuff.
Right.
There's also, it's kind of, there's not just newspapers and stuff here. There's other bits and bobs that you can get. It's a bit, convenience store-ish, because it's a small enough town that things can't be super specialized like that. But there's a guy who just kind of like greets you with a quiet nod.
Right.
And
I'll nod back, and I will look over the newspapers and find one that looks like it's probably the local paper.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's front and center in the area.
Therefore, I'll purchase that.
Yeah. So you pick up a thing that's a thin newspaper that's called the Tenporth Tribune.
Okay.
And give me an investigation check.
Sure. I will pick up the newspaper. I will
high.
head outside and find a bench to sit down and skim through it for a bit.
Cut some holes in the paper in order to spy people through. Yep.
Well, no, I'm actually reading it.
Oh, right.
Is it Tinporth or Tenporth?
Tenporth.
Yeah. Okay, make sure.
An 8. Wonderful. Terrible roll.
It takes you a bit of shuffling through. You are maybe a bit too thorough as you're going through it. Just like, is there going to be any mention of this? Eventually, however, you do get to a story that I'm going to say is like not in the first edition that you read. You gotta have to do a little bit of digging through a couple of different papers.
Okay.
But you find one that this fairly small article that makes like the second page. It's a small town, but it's
Second
not
page,
that small. Yeah. That makes mention of the headline is like troubled youth haunted, big question, like 3 question marks.
Okay.
Right.
And you start reading through it, and there is information on. I keep on going to the wrong info document. Hang on, there it is. That there is a boy that lives in the town named Marin Trelawney, who, and the opening blurb is like local child Marin Trelawney claims to have been haunted by a demonic spirit in recent days. And there it goes on to describe like he's been seeing it in his bedroom and so on and stuff. Despite thought to be a product of the child's imagination by his mother initially, this persisted and troubled the child so much that eventually the local church was contacted, and he's been visited by a priest who tried to perform some rites to expel any potential spirits, but it seems to have persisted beyond that. And as it goes through, there's also a quote from the boy's mother, Nessa.
Sure.
It says, I really just think that this is because Mary missed his father, but he seems to be incredibly adamant that this is an actual thing that is visiting him. An explanation follows a quote that Nessa's husband, Denzel Trelawney, has not been home in some time, and she has also been getting worried about him.
Ah. Interesting. Spooky. Fascinating.
Yep.
Well,
and that's about. I mean, it's about a 4-ish paragraph story. So
that presents another optional avenue of investigation. Actually, someone to go talk to the church.
Like Jerome's like, do we really want to risk that?
Risk what? Risk what?
I'll do it.
What would we be risking, Jerome?
Well, you know how these religious types are. They often tend to be the ones who can see things. That's kind of his rather. I don't know if that's an actual fact or that's just kind of like an assumption that dead people make.
So here's here's the funny thing to me. I would dispute that, and then I look in the mirror and I'm playing a cleric. So you know what? You might be onto something.
I'm going to say anyone here make a flat intelligence check.
Sure, I will. I will happily.
Oh, good. I'm screwed.
Well, technically not saved, but whatever.
I see. Someone been rolling saves set of checks here. Oh.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same bonus.
Naughty.
I mean, it's the same bonus, so whatever. But
Yeah, it's
you're
the same
right.
bonus, not a big deal.
Yeah. Let me, for some reason, the character sheet got.
yeah, I
Right.
didn't scroll high enough.
Oof.
Well,
I'm
that's
gonna re-roll that one. Yeah.
Sure, I will happily roll.
I mean, this is just for a small detail. It's
All
not
right.
going to be too crazy. So
Sweet.
as Jerome mentions that Dentalion, you realize that if the priest, at least, who came and performed the exorcism were actually good at detecting spirits, then he would have been successful at getting rid of the thing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't think we have to worry about this particular priest because the ghost is still here. So, kind of sucks at it.
Well, I mean, assuming that this is actually an actual spirit haunting, but in that case, if he was good at this, he would know that it was not actually one then. So,
Yeah.
you are correct. I think you are correct in that assessment, Dentalion.
Jerome considers this for a moment. It's like, true. There would need to be an old priest and a young priest.
Ace
We might be-
reference.
We might be okay.
As
Also-
long as you're not involved, sure.
Also, honestly,
Or Sean.
honestly, Gideon is not
Or
particularly worried either way.
Mhm.
But
I'm pretty sure we can take an old priest and a young priest.
It's not a question of take; it's a question of let's see. Aha! We figured out what you. We're gonna pretend
No,
we
I'm
didn't
gonna
see that.
No, I'm gonna have to roll up enemy character sheets for level 0 priests. Do the big boss fight.
Oh yeah, I totally won't just try to scare the crap out of him at that point.
Nice.
But yeah, Reiko is willing to have a consultation with the religious type, seeing as how she actually has a religion score.
Actually, so do I.
So does Tan.
Like my charisma's horrible, but I think that makes me fit right in.
I mean, anyone who wants to go talk to whoever. I'm just saying that is an angle. Gideon is willing to talk to pretty much whomever.
Yeah, let's go talk to the priest. See if they can point us in the right direction.
Very well. You can. We do need to look for this website thingy.
Oh,
where do you
wait,
find one of
no.
those?
Okay, fine. All right. I was going to talk to the priest, but, right. Duty calls.
Yeah, just bring it over to us when you find it.
Help the old man. Help the old man explore the internet.
That's
The
going
files are inside the computer. Yeah.
I suppose I could ask the priest if I could borrow their phone, but...
Very well.
You need
So-
to call it.
Oh my god.
Why don't Reiko and I go to the library? Apparently they have computers there, from what I've been told.
Libraries do have computers in these days, yes.
Good.
I mean, Jerome, man, I'm just to point this out in case you guys do want to have certain characters go certain places. I'll present you with the options and point out that Tan and Jerome did successfully navigate computers previously.
Oh, sure.
Oh, sure. But this is Gideon we're talking about.
Okay.
We committed identity theft. We know what we're doing here.
I'm just saying I think this is an opportunity to, given the type of game this is an opportunity to actually split the party and pursue 2 lines of investigation simultaneously.
Oh, sweet. We're going to split the party and everyone's going to die. Yeah.
Yes, because this is totally that sort of game.
You're already dead. That's the diabolical part.
Yes.
Yes, the party was split.
Shit.
Yes,
that means you already did it.
The party was split at the start of the game, and Reiko died. Duh.
No.
I'm like, well, Nick, congratulations. You won the campaign. Let's get a round of applause for Nick here.
I don't get it. You guys
This is the victory lap.
Yeah, I don't get it. I killed all of you guys by the end of session 1, and you're all still here. What's going on?
I'm just dumb. Yeah, that's why I'm still here, anyways.
Interesting.
I mean, I think most of us were killed pre-session 0 even.
Mm-hmm. What can I say? I work efficiently.
Yep,
Yeah.
there you go.
All right.
So yeah, I was thinking like we could sort of divvy up the tasks a bit.
Okay.
Which also means that we have less have like a crowd of 5 people going to the church and then a crowd of 5 people going to the library together. That might be a little suspicious.
Dan Talian definitely needs to go to the priest.
I think that would be hilarious. So yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in favor. Yeah, so it's a way better charisma score than I am.
Oh yeah.
Than I do, rather, am. I am not charisma.
Yeah, if we send Dan and Tan to the priest, that's two of our best charisma people there. So
Gosh. All right. Well, Dan and Tan.
It rhymes.
Well, yeah. We'll also
Everything
try
we
to.
do has advantage because our names rhyme.
That's right. Not only that, it also sounds like we could convince somebody that it actually is a drink you make with ale at the local with beer at the local pub. It's a Dan and Tan. You know, the classic. We're locals.
All right. God damn it. So Dan and Tan are going to go and talk to the priest who, quote unquote, performed the exorcism, and Gideon and Reiko are going to go do some electronic investigation. Jerome, what group do you want to be part of?
I think Jerome is probably going to be best with Reiko Gideon.
okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Question: Church of England or Catholic?
I don't know. Like,
Oddly enough, Protestant.
I honestly do not know.
Protestant? What?
Well, I mean, technically,
You guys are actually in America.
I mean, Church of England is technically Protestant, so
I know. I'm just being like, why I hear Protestant name has a very different. Yes.
Southern Baptist.
Actually, the Protestants. God. All right. You guys go to the church. I don't know enough about the differences in Christian sects. All right, I'm going to admit it. I don't know.
that's fair.
Just say holy person, that we don't have to get the name of the title wrong, whether it's a priest or a chaplain or a criminal, you know.
Right.
God damn it, Sketch.
All right. So you guys walk into the bar. You find.
Ah, sweet. All right, I got a very important question for you, Nick.
Yes.
Do they have either a good Cornish pastry or clotted cream at this bar?
I have never had either of those things, so I don't know.
I'm just being. Anyways.
What we need to do is we need to find a Scotch egg and incubate it so the new Scotchman hatches.
Like, all right, the last time you guys went to the physical world, you were in the state that I'm from. This time, you're in a country I've never been to.
Yep.
So...
And that's not going to stop me from understanding the local cuisine, my dude.
It's a small town in rural England, so it's on the moors and on cliffs by the seaside. And there's
to be fair, if we're in
everything
Cornwall,
is either a GW store or a pub, and there's one church.
If we're in Cornwall, that general area, the main thing of note that they're really, really known for is the quality of their milk, and thereby their ice cream, clotted cream, and then anything made with those is among the cuisines here.
Okay.
But anyways, but we go to the bar. Great. Let's go to the pub. Let's do it.
I was making a priest joke, whatever.
So we're going to the church to talk to the priest that performed the exorcism.
Yes.
The failed exorcism.
Yeah. You guys go.
Bar, if that's where he is, because I'm cool with going to the bar too.
You know what? Make an investigation check to determine where the priest is.
Let's do this. 9 and 10.
Clearly, he's in the bar. To the bar!
You look in the bar for a priest. You don't find a priest in there.
To the next bar!
Someone in the bar tells you, "Oh, if you're looking for him, why you don't? Have you boys tried the church?"
See, I told you we should have started with that first.
I figured since we're on the way, we might as well just poke our heads in. All right.
Yeah, the bartender looks at you and is like, I don't think you guys need surfing right now. They tell you how to get to the church.
Tan will stagger a bit as they walk away to really sell.
No roll necessary.
Just don't say that Tan looks tired, because apparently that's slander.
Huh.
There's a period of time where
there was
exactly. There's a period of time in which accusing someone of being drunk was bad. It was a bad thing. So people would say people looked tired as code for saying that they're drunk. So
interesting.
Tom Scott talks about it in one video years ago. It's very funny. Anyways,
very odd. After some deliberation and some troubles, you are able to find the church. It's one of those kind of things that it's a big community center because this is not a very large city or anything like that. But you're here at a time when it's service is not going on, so it's not super crowded when you come in. I assume, since you're trying to find the priest, you ask around, or I don't know. Let me see here real quick. Yeah.
I'm going to actually have Tan ask something to Dan real quick.
All right, sure.
So Dan, I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
So what's the angle? What's the cover for how we're going to get this information out of the holy person?
We're totally going to steal Gideon's idea. We're investigating we're reporters investigating on the whatchamacallit, on the on.
All right. I need to see.
Do you have a better idea?
No, not necessarily. I'm just thinking about.
I mean, we could tell him the truth. We're spiritual entities wearing flesh disguises, looking for a lost soul.
I only think that's a last resort. And to be fair, the tabloids here I heard are pretty bad, so it's not like anyone's going to believe him if he says anything. So.
Sure. Yeah, we're just reporters asking about the ghost, the reputed ghost.
Right. All right.
I guess we work for one of them their podcast things that I've heard Reiko talk about.
I've heard things about this thing called BuzzFeed News. Maybe that's what we could say we're from.
Is that a podcast? Is that where you throw pods at people?
10 craziest rural towns hauntings.
I will say the ironic thing is that BuzzFeed News has actually won journalism awards.
Oh yeah, no.
it's I just love that. I just love that the dumbness of that. Just like that's our reality.
Mhm.
That from that to actual journalism awards and stuff.
Okay. So you guys get your cover story straight. And fortunately, as you come in, you are actually approached. And there's a man who looks to be, in his like mid 40s, kind of faded silvery blonde hair. And he opened his arms up to you and says, "Oh, I see a few newcomers here. What brings you to this place, this place of holiness and safety?"
We're just doing a little research on the local haunting that happened recently. We heard you had performed an exorcism.
Yes, I did. I thought that the interviews and my little bit of celebrity had passed me by, but yes, I do have some time if you want to take down a quote from me, certainly.
Sure. So what can you tell us about the ghost? And I pull out a pad and a pen.
Well, so the boy was quite troubled since the boy Marin was troubled since his father was not at home, and I believe that the dismay that he was experienced might have drawn the spirit to him. So I went and I investigated, and I performed a few Hail Marys, dabbed holy water over the place, laid my symbol on his head, shook the rosary, and I want both of you guys to make an insight check.
Given this is totally in my my wheelhouse, do I get advantage on this?
Yeah, we'll say you do.
Okay.
That'd be a 14 from Tan.
Ooh, not great rolls from
Not great.
Italian.
Yeah.
Alright.
Only 11.
Both of you guys beat a 10, and since this is familiar territory for both of you, you get the sense that what the priest, whose name is Jago, Jago,
Okay.
that he does not think that there was actually a ghost. But
Right.
he's not saying that because he can't say that because of his position.
Right.
And the way looking
Yeah,
at
so
thinking
my
about
notes say like standard Christian platitudes.
yeah, the kind of thing like, oh yes, if you're troubled by this, pray on it, say a few Hail Marys and stuff, and you will be accepted into the Holy Land. It's like just like maybe not necessarily like, oh, this kind of thing is all bullshit, but like this is just kind of the standard answer that he gives without thinking too hard about it.
I'm just sort of like, it's like here, take a few Hail Marys and call me in the morning,
Yeah.
A bit, yes.
So you never actually like saw or experienced anything supernatural regarding this ghost?
How do you mean?
I mean, like the like you didn't see like any like manifestations or like.
Well, the being in question was tormenting poor Marin. It was not tormenting me. So no, it did not literally appear before my eyes. I did not see it. However, as is typical when this kind of thing occurs, after I perform the rites, I felt the gloomy presence that was pervading Marin's surroundings dissipate.
Okay. Further bullshit.
All right.
Do you say that or
No. That is what's going on the notepad though.
Gotcha. Where did you? What organization did you say you were from, by the way?
BuzzFeed.
Ah,
It's like, what's a common one? BuzzFeed, sure.
all right. Surprised to hear that, but
Well, you know, our readers have a diverse interest. We try to tick all the boxes.
I'm definitely aware of the diverse interest. Yes. I'm just a bit surprised. To be frank, I did not really think that this would be a thing that's someone of that from that kind of organization would really be that interested in. It's a thing that's just happening in our little small nick of town, and I mean, it's over and done with now, so I don't really know. I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to tell you not to come talk to me, but I'm just surprised. That's all.
It's just like I said, a diverse interest. They've been. What time of year is it?
It's these sort of stories have been as folks say, doing numbers. So it's
Yeah.
I think
It's in the zeitgeist right now.
Mhm.
Ah, I see. Zeitgeist.
They both throw their heads back and laugh at that.
It's not summer, by the way.
Okay. Like, is it before or after Halloween is what I'm asking.
It's well before Halloween.
Okay.
Hot summer hauntings. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, hottest summer hauntings. Yeah, sure. Well, is there anything else I can interest you in?
So when things dissipated, like how did I guess how would you describe how it felt when the dissipation occurred? Because
make a persuasion check for me.
that's an 8. I'm going to invoke my once per reroll thing here.
Okay.
17.
Yeah.
Much better.
17. All right. He kind of blinks at you for a second because this is, for a puff piece, a little bit of a needling question to ask. But he brushes past it and goes instead into a bit more of a theatrical kind of way of presenting the issue, and says, "Oh well, as I entered young Marin's room, I could feel the weight that had been pressing upon him. I could just imagine if his small body were tucked in at night, how uncomfortable it would have felt to have some sort of spirit pressing upon his chest. And then, after I performed the rites, I felt that weight lift up and dissipate." This guy is totally bullshitting. Absolutely, he is making stuff up at this juncture. It's not that necessarily he believes that what he does is total bullshit, but he did not feel anything.
I see. So I guess we'll go with the line, like a weighted blanket. Got it. All right. Like Dan just sort of mutters while just drawing like needless circles on their particular pad for the moment there.
I'm sure that this has been a hard time for young Marin. With his father has not been around in a little while, and for a young child that can be a bit of a burden. But I believe that after being drawn to that the spirit no longer being present, it will be of some comfort, and it will be easier for him to accept the conditions that he is in right now until his father does return. This is something that happens to small children quite often, where they have an experience in their lives that draws negative beings towards them, and they need a bit of help to get those negative presences to leave them be and to better handle their situation.
I
Gotcha.
see. I see.
Just one final question. Could you describe what was happening to young Marin? The stuff that he was saying was happening to him, with how the haunting manifested.
Well, give me a persuasion roll again.
Vision, where are you? There.
18. Nice.
That's really good. Well, he described that there was this horned being that would lurk in his room, predominantly at night, and would say things to him. Ern was very particular about it. Had all this hideous tail, sharp teeth, and fortunately, you never described it approaching him or attacking him. But of course, just the mere presence and the mere vision of such a thing would be quite terrible for a small child to experience.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds. Remember having similar experiences when I was a kid, but turned out to be night terrors. So.
Well, he was quite adamant about it being a demonic presence, so I was consulted and I was brought in and I addressed the problem. Yes.
Well, I think we've got everything we need for our piece from you. So, thanks a lot. If we come up with anything else, would you mind talking with us again? Are there any further questions or anything?
Give me one more persuasion roll.
I'm gonna have. I'm borderline thinking that Tan should say something on the way out that would not be us.
Perhaps if you manage to catch me at a good time, yes.
Excellent.
Well,
He's not warm towards you, but you're not at least.
Yeah.
Right.
You guys have said a couple of different things that could have pissed him off. I'll just tell you that.
I just hope that you are able to. I just hope that you're able to maintain a forthright and honest treatment of those that you work over and you work for. And then there's just a warm smile from Tan as they turn on their heels and just start walking on out.
Tip the flat cap I'm wearing towards him.
Oh.
I just had to say that once it's just like, man, the degree of bullshitting this one's doing here.
Italian, as Tan turns to leave before you start to go, you see the priest kind of cock his head and look a little bit like, huh? Like and does not seem to have quite caught the subtleties of what Italian has said. So,
right,
or of Tan and Ars has said. Sorry. Now the Dan and Tan seems confusing me with your names.
That's how we get it. We get it with their confusion.
Yeah. Oh, I'll never be able to kill you all in session 0 again.
Damn.
Right. Okay. I'll kneel down behind them.
I'll do the little hand signal as I be seeing you. When in England.
Oh, you bastard.
Oh, you're doing the jog on?
No. He's referencing the prisoner.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know that.
Yeah,
so.
that's fair.
All right.
British show, got to reference a British show at some point, and Doctor Who hasn't come up yet, so.
Gotcha.
And we're in something that sort of might quasi resemble The Village, so.
Yeah.
That's just it. I'm surprised you didn't do Father Ted.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen enough of any Father Ted though. But yeah.
So I hear you're a racist now, Father. So, meanwhile, in the public library,
Aha.
Reiko, the computers in this place are old, but they're public funding old. They're not
Right.
stuck in the 80s old,
Right.
the way the technology in Limbo is. So you are able to make do and access the internet.
Right.
So you guys are just what? You're just looking up specifically like stuff in relation to the story.
That's ideal. That is one thing we should be looking up. The other thing I will suggest that we should probably research is anything to do with any information on the passing of Cecilia Teague. There should be something in the obituaries in the paper somewhere in there.
Gotcha.
Because more details on the actual deceased that we're looking into might be helpful. Also, Gideon has discovered that there like most libraries, there's probably a rack of periodicals that he can read through. That's there, of newspapers and such. Most libraries have those, so he'll probably be thumbing through those while Reiko's doing the computer stuff.
Gideon, this is how you use the microfiche machine.
They have a microfiche?
I know mine still does.
No, yeah, that's actually a fair point. They probably libraries don't get rid of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, give me some investigation.
Absolutely.
Rolls.
I will happily do so.
Where's that at?
Right. And a baboom. I'm going to use my once per
Investigation.
session reroll on that because a 6 is terrible. Nicely done, Jerome.
Ooh.
I'm going to.
The 8 is better than a 6, but it's still terrible. Fortunately, Jerome rolled well.
Draco knows how to use these things. She's not actually good at using the search engine, but she knows it exists.
Right. Okay.
I'm not at all projecting.
Jerome died in that very special period where you actually had to learn how to use a search engine properly, including how to use all the little codes.
Right,
so he's using all these weird hypertext things,
which still come in handy sometimes.
Oh God.
So with a bit of like pointers from Jerome, I'm like, no, use the ampersand in this part, and et cetera, et cetera. Reiko is able to fine tune the search through some archives of stuff. A lot of the stuff that comes up, you find like 3 different articles from some, UK equivalent of, the Globe kind of things. Like, the like, vampire baby kind of stuff pops up like, British youth haunted by demon, and there is this, photoshopped image of a devil of some kind, like creeping, terrorizing a small boy and who is, like hiding under the covers kind of thing.
I'm just envisioning a terrible black and white Photoshop of Dave Grohl from The Pick of Destiny.
Check this pic. It's fucking tasty. So, you get, some information that may prove helpful, which is included in the article, which was not, did not make like the main papers because it actually describes the entity in some more detail. You get some of the information that the priest mentioned, like, it had horns, sharp teeth, a long tail, and stuff. But there's also a description of like, it was like pale skinned, very thin, almost skeletal looking. And also you get indication that while it stood in the room with the child, that it was saying something, but the boy could not understand what it was saying.
Aha.
There is, let me see here. I gotta check on this. I gotta check on this detail real quick.
Okay. No problem.
The demon is quoted. It's kind of one of those like things where like because of the type of newspaper that it is, there's a little bit of pen, extra stuff penned in to make it more cinematic and flavorful. And where it's like the demon pointed at him and spoke in a hissing, growly voice. "Heed my words, Tattle Tall Emmert."
Tattle Tall Emmert.
Tattle Tall Emmert. That's what you get from that. I'm not sure. What is a good... What's a good thing that I can do for this? I will say, if you guys want to, you can roll an intelligence on the story as you heard it to see if you can potentially narrow down what's going on with like the being that is apparently
Sure. Well, an 8. I mean, it's not bad. Not a terrible roll. Not a great roll.
What'd you say it was?
Just general intelligence for general information.
Intelligence. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, Reiko.
Oh, I found the intelligence.
Yeah. So, Reiko, you have studied up, of course, on different kinds of ghosts and death-based stories.
Mm-hmm.
And from the story, you narrow it down to a few possibilities of not being a demon that could be haunting this boy, but there are a few European tales of zombie-like beings that have risen from the dead and take on the form of gaunt, haunted creatures that feed on the life force of others in some form.
Like ghouls.
Mm-hmm. When you make that suggestion, Jerome and Gideon,
Yep.
you guys can give me what's a good, either a history or a religion check, whichever is higher for you.
Well, they're exactly the same for me.
Sure.
I'm going to go for, on this one, I guess I'll go for a history on this, because what the heck.
Yeah, I'm going to go for history too.
A 10.
Oof.
God, I'm not rolling well today.
Yeah. You guys aren't able to narrow down anything from there.
Oh, well.
However, Reiko, you understand something else from this story, which is that the words Tattle Tall Emmert are probably the only thing that the kid heard. There was probably no like big speech the demon gave.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that, you think, well, there must be something going on with that, and it must not be the way that the kid interpreted them. Like if you say something, in a code or whatever, then a kid might not understand that it is a code. They'll just understand the sounds that are spoken.
I wonder if this is a code. If this whole SNR racket is some kind of conspiracy, then it would make sense to convey a message in some form, and something through the tabloids like this would make sense, wouldn't it?
Jerome was like, that is a distinct possibility. It's easy enough to get a hold of these things, even online, and it
means a whole lot of nothing to anyone else.
Sorry, just to make sure I'm not leaving an impression that I don't mean to leave. I don't mean a code through the newspaper. I mean like a code from the demon to the kid. So like, if this is like a red rum kind of situation.
Okay.
Oh, that means nothing to me. That means less than what you described before.
I mean, like, let's say that Tattletale Emmert was, like the first letter of each word was like part of a longer sentence that the demon wanted to communicate to the child.
Right.
Instead of that's or like, it was each word was like spoken backwards or something like
Right.
that. So maybe
Sure.
it didn't sound exactly that way. And it's just the way the child's interpreting it.
Yeah, the child heard Tattletale Emmert, but like the red rum thing is like literally just spoken backwards. That would be that's murder and backwards.
Oh.
Red rum is a much cleaner, version of that.
This is not. This is something more convoluted, is what I think Nick's implying. But
This is something that we might actually need to hear ourselves in order to piece together.
Possibly.
Which means we need to figure out a way to.
All right, Nick. Was there anything in the obits on Miss Teague though? That's the other thing.
So
right.
Before,
yes,
I apologize. Before you answer that, at the idea that it could be like a word or a sequence of words backwards or something, Reiko is going to just plug the phrase into an anagram generator and see what it comes up with.
Okay. Let's see. Let me do that. I mean, you get some. I'm going to just say, like, you get some results. It does. I'm going to say there might be a coincidence where it might give you something that would give you a false impression of something. And if I had thought this through in more detail, then I might actually give you that as a red herring. But because I haven't, I'm not going to be unfair to you and give it to you now.
Fair enough. Yeah, it just kind of occurred to me. It's like, okay, we could do code breaking things, or I could just run this through a program and let it do the code breaking for us, at least on a rudimentary level.
Give me a different role. Give me a. I guess this and let me go through your skills.
Insight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. Actually, yeah, give me an insight. That might be. That makes sense to be applicable here.
I'll use my reroll here.
Okay.
Well,
15.
All right, that's my passive. Sure, fine, whatever.
Let me roll something here. Actually, let me look at what you got here.
They need to break out the Ouija board.
No, I have to check some stuff based off what you guys have because I want to be fair here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Reiko.
Mm-hmm.
With that 15 insight, you can't solve this here, but what you realize is that if you guys were to hear it yourselves, there are definitely tools at your disposal that you could use to understand what was being said. Unfortunately, what was said is being filtered through the understanding of like a 7 or 6-year-old and then being put in a tabloid newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
So there's multiple layers of separation from the source material that you guys are trying to understand.
Right. Yeah.
So for example, like if this were spoken in code, the code itself, you don't have the actual like letters that were being put in it.
Right.
In terms of Cecilia Teague, the other thing that you guys are investigating, we'll include that in the general investigation roles that you guys did. And I'll say that you have a hard time finding anything in terms of like her disappearance. There is like something in what is essentially a gossip, a local town gossip thing that mentions that like, oh, her neighbors haven't seen her for a while,
right?
But there is nothing that indicates that she has died recently. There's a mention in the gossip columns that like they they have actually talked to the police about it, and the police are looking into it, whatever that might mean.
Right.
But nothing as solid as like, oh, you know, she's been reported missing for weeks and people are really worried about her. And as part of your investigation, as you're going through it, part of what you find is that it's because, you know, she lives alone.
Right.
It's not that she is, you know, completely isolated from her neighbors or anything like that. People started noticing she hadn't been around for a while, and so someone went to check on her and found that she wasn't there. And it's been long enough now that people are kind of like wondering where the hell she went, if she left without a word.
Right.
There's been no word of that.
Interesting.
You also find some older stuff on her.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just about her kind of life. There's a lot more of that than there is about just recent events with her.
Okay. Oh, really? Interesting.
So Cecilia Teague was born in this town,
Right.
moved out when she, you know, like went away to university, and she studied art and became a pretty successful artist.
Ah.
Stayed, you know, in the city for some time, and, you know, like, you know, it's one of those things where, like, you know, if someone gets to be relatively successful, that like it filters back and becomes, you know, a source of a small town's local pride of like, oh, look at what, you know, someone who was born here is up to now. And there's some images.
I've got one of those. Katy Perry went to my high school.
Oh, neat.
Not quite at that scale.
You know what I mean, though.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, so it's like, oh, you know, it's a source of local pride that you're like, oh, you know, this is what she's up to. Here's, you know, here are some images of some of the paintings that she has done. And she moved back into town a little over 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Cecilia would be in like her early 40s right
Okay.
now. So, you know, she spent her young adulthood in the city, had a more than respectable amount of success with her art,
Yep.
and then decided she wanted to move back home where it was a bit quieter and
Right.
just kind of keep on working there. There's you know, I mentioned there's, you know, at some point within the last 10 years after she moved back, she gave a little bit of an interview because she was a person of some note, and talked about how, like, in you know, she wanted to get back and to where she felt comfortable and where she could let, you know, the place where she grew up influence her and inspire new works as well. And this is in particular is a source of pride for people because it's like, oh, not only is a person from our town successful, but now they're also like representing our town to people outside of it,
Right.
in a lovely, respectable way.
So two things come to mind during this. One, did she go to the same university as Reiko?
No.
Okay, so that's a good lead, something to know.
Neither in terms of the university that Reiko attended while she was in Japan, nor in terms of when she visited Europe. Cecilia went to... I actually did enough to make sure that I wrote this down. She went to Goldsmiths, which is a London university, and Reiko has never been there. As far as you guys know, from what you have found, Cecilia never even went to Poland in general.
All right, and then the other question is, what kind of art did she do? Like, we obviously can see it because it's mentioned in the article. There would be, and you mentioned there were pictures of it.
Well, since you're going down that path, go ahead and give me another investigation roll just to see what kind of stuff you come up with.
All right.
And I don't know if there is an artistic appreciation roll that would be good to make.
I mean, you can do like art history or something, but it would still be investigation. So.
All right. The stuff that you come up with is you see A lot of stuff. There is a pretty clear demarcation between when Cecilia moved back to her town, because it seems like she would do a lot of going to places and painting what she saw, kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So while she lived in London, there's a lot of street corners, there's a lot of big buildings, there's images of ports and bridges and crowded streets and stuff. However, the streets aren't actually like crowded when she paints them. It's very much like just the location itself.
Right.
And there tends to be like one person who is represented in the landscape or the town. And then, when she moved back home, she painted what she saw. She would go to, the port, she would go to the town square, or she would go to, a less crowded area, on the hillside, and she would just paint what she saw there. And again, each time there would be, while she's painting this, there's also like a person, sometimes a cat or something like that.
So one sort of one creature there of some sort, be either be human or animal or what have you.
Yes.
Okay.
And that seems to be a theme that runs throughout her work. Is like there is a place, and then there is a person or a being that is within it, and they are kind of all alone within it.
Okay.
That's something that shows up in all the commentary on her works. That's just kind of her thing, and there's all sorts of different opinions on what that means, what the significance of it is.
Sure.
With a 9 investigation, that to look at her artwork, that's what you get.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, and just a quick question. Like, it's not like the same person in all these things.
It's sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's an animal. Sometimes it is like an angel, that kind of thing. So it's not necessarily like, oh, there's a single person that I use as my model or anything like that.
Jerome's getting ideas. We may want to investigate this woman's home while we're here.
Possibly, yes. Might not be a terrible idea.
This art is a little. I think there's something going on.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not the world's best judge of that.
So is break and entry par for the course with this?
Apparently.
He says that loud in a library. The library just looks up like, what?
No, the library just looks at you guys and goes, shh.
Yeah.
Is arson on the table? I mean, can we just commit arson? Not for any gold, but just because,
I mean, if you insist, I don't know if I'd stop you.
Down for a little light arson, yeah.
A little light arson. Wow.
Yeah. Well, it seems we have two avenues of investigation. At least we can investigate Cecilia's home, and we should. I don't know how we could manage it, but we could try to get access to the kid.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
From some of the others, anything else we should be looking for?
I can't think of anything else off the top of my head that we'll be able to find in what we're doing right now. Now, without finding out, this might be something we have to come back to at some point. I think if we pick up more other info to refine our searches.
Reiko is going to do some cursory searches and see if she can come up with some addresses, both for the kid and for the lady.
Yep.
Oh, sure. That'd be helpful.
Yep. Give me an investigation. Sure.
No, that thing I'm bad at.
It's okay.
Jerome will help.
And then you roll a 19.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah. While you guys are discussing what to do, Reiko prints off some addresses for you guys.
Excellent.
Yeah, there was. I mean, while these are topics of local interest, there's almost certainly street addresses that are listed.
Oh, sure.
So
it is. I'm almost certain it's easy to be given her notoriety. Her address is almost certainly available easily. Cecilia's is.
Yeah.
The kid would be a little bit trickier, probably, but
right.
Actually, I'm now thinking about it. We know that the father has been seen for a while. I mean, maybe we could look see if there's any like.
There might be a connection between there are now two. We know Cecilia's dead.
Yeah.
Right. Because because otherwise we wouldn't be doing this. The
Right.
kid's father is also, but she's reported she seems to be missing as far as people here are concerned, and the kid's father is also missing. So there might be a connection there of some sort.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we can see if we can like look at police reports. Maybe like this father is notorious for something. Maybe this is the first time he's
Sure. I mean,
wandered off.
we could do a search on him on see. The local papers will have your various. See if his name shows up in any of the police reports in the local papers. Also, like
Yeah, like there's things that we can extrapolate to, one, get the kid's address, and two, like information on
is
him,
the kid's father does the kid's father pop up in the news anywhere in the local news? Is the only other question I've got basically at this point.
Gotcha. So I'm going to not require an investigation for this.
Okay.
Because this is definitely a thing that is going to have come up while you've been looking into.
That's kind of what I thought.
The hauntings.
Yep.
And so there's a bit of a hang up in terms of like people specifically saying like, or in terms of why people haven't blown this hugely into the news of like, a father's missing and his kid is haunted by a demon now.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that his father tends to travel for business
right.
a lot.
Okay. I think you mentioned that earlier. The mother I think the mother said something along those lines or something like that. But
yeah. So essentially, he
Priest
works.
said as much, so
oh, that's what it was. That's what. Yeah.
What you find out from looking through stuff that gets mentioned occasionally in some of the reports of this is that the father, Denzel Trelawney, works as this isn't the right term because there is a different term for how it goes in Europe than it does over here. But essentially, he's a CPA. So people come to him for accounting work.
Mm-hmm.
So he ends up like traveling to outside of the town to be in places where there are some bigger businesses. He does a lot of stuff locally because people need some help in that regard. But he will travel in order to do the books for some other people.
Okay.
So while he has been away for a while, and it's definitely weird that he has not seemingly made contact with his wife and child. And so that's definitely a topic of concern. The fact that he was out of town was not.
Right. Okay. Good to know.
That down.
All right. Out of character, how are we feeling right now? Because we're getting to be we're getting to be around when we usually stop, and I just want to check in.
I'm running a little bit out of steam. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I've got stuff happening in a little while.
Totally understand. So I'll let you guys think about what you want to do for next time then, and we'll pick up here when we return to D&D Abeyance. Thanks, guys, for another fun session.
Yes.
And thank you, everyone listening, for tuning in.
Yep. Thanks, Nick, for running, and we'll see you guys. I don't know when the next episode. We don't know when the next episode is going to be. It's coming up in the holiday season. Things maybe next week, maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, it's going to be weird. It's holiday season, so things are going to be hectic. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.
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 Bye, everyone.